Everybody. So I'm working on a custom circlet for a client, and I wanted to capture some video of how I kind of go about this because I know that whenever I was am learning to wire wrap, it really is insightful to see the thought process that other artists go through. And I don't really have a whole lot of a plan of what's going to be going on with this circlet. So I thought I'd let you guys get some insight on the chaos and madness that is trying to make jewelry, at least in my brain. So we're going to come down here. You can see what I have going on so far is this modified snake weave that I learned from Lisa Barth in her book Timeless Weaving. But I've added in some beads, and I started, I've got 18 gauge in silver on each side, and then the center wire is 20 gauge. That way it'll fit through the little beads that I'm using, as well as this centerpiece. And you can see right here is where I started the weave, where those coils are. And so it's going off in this direction. So then on this side, I started it again right there, and I've been coming off in this direction. And so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I've got one more bead to add, and this is like a little 2mm bead. I'm just going to slide it right onto, it might be 3mm actually. It's quite small though. Yeah, I think it's a 3mm. If I can find a little hole on it. There we go. I'm just going to thread that right onto my wire. And then moving some of this stuff out of the way. And then I'm wrapping in a 26 gauge wire. So I'm going to go over on one side, then over on the other, just wrapping around that center wire. And I had a repetitious pattern of 3 rotations, bead, 3 rotations, bead, all the way down. This is my last one. So you can see on this end, I did 5 rotations and had it bring all the wire together. So I'm going to do that again here. But yeah, the client was kind of specific about the metal colors and gemstone and bead types that they wanted on the circlet. But other than that, they were giving me a little bit of artistic freedom, which is a lot of fun, but it also leaves me at the mercy of my creativity, and it's like all of these different things that I could be doing, and I want it to come out, perfect, and that they like it and everything. So it's just kind of trying to balance all that stuff. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna do one more rotation. And one of my favorite ways of finishing the snake weave are like how I did over here on this side, where one section branched off into just basic wire coiling, and then this side branched off into merging 2 of the wires together. And so I want the sides to be mirror imaged, so this one over here is going to be the one that gets coiled, and then these top 2 are the ones that are going to get that kind of alternating. On this one I'm doing 5 rotations, then 1 rotation around both. So let me go ahead and just do this side. I'm also experimenting with, my workstation has a slightly different setup now, so I'm experimenting with different camera angles. So please be patient with me. Get those wires out of the way. Get my fingers out of the way. And then coil. And if you would like an in-depth tutorial on how to coil a thin wire around a thick wire. If I remember to, I'll put a little link should be popping up on the screen right now, and you can go check that out. It also shows how to splice in a new piece of wire if you decide you want it a little bit longer. Normally I count my rotations, but I'm just doing it till I run out of wire on this side. And I can always come back through later and trim it down a little bit if I need to get it to match the other side. Twisting down this last bit. And then whenever you get down to the tail end of the wire, and there's just that little pokey bit, if the camera will pick up on it, it's just that little weird bit right there that I'm going to tuck that down with my bent nose pliers. Kind of squish everything together, nice and tight. And now I'm going to go through and do the this pattern right here over on the other side, and I'm going to do that off camera, so I'll meet you all right back here. So I think I've figured out my new favorite camera setup, and it's a strange concoction of faces, yardsticks, and clamps, but I think it might work. So here we have, I've finished coiling like this on both sides. I have my ruler here because I do want to make sure that my fancy middle school ruler, that all of my stuff, I got 4 centimeters on this side and about 3.5 on this side. I think I can make that work though. And then over here we have, again, about 4 centimeters. And I'm good at 4 centimeters over here. So, now the client requested silver, gold, and rose gold metal tones, as well as jet and amber beads. So these are what I have. I have some irregularly shaped in small, medium, and large amber, and then I have some 2 or 3 millimeter and 4 millimeter amber, and then I've got some 4 millimeter jet. The holes on these though are quite small, so ideally I would have been able to just incorporate them through this part of the circlet, but the hole's so small that I can only thread like a 24 or a 26 gauge wire through it. So I decided that this would be my structural base. And so to give it a little bit more of like a circlety shape, I'm just going to come through and start. I made biscuits. Randy and I were making breakfast for lunch, and I made biscuits, so I still had some biscuit under my fingernail. I washed my hands, I promise, but biscuits, I had some in my hair. Like, it was biscuits everywhere. That's how you know they're good biscuits. But so I've given it a very slight kind of heart shape, and I think that's very flattering on a lot of facial structures, and this is malleable enough that if they don't like it as heart-shaped, or if they want it more curved, the client will be able to go through and kind of tweak that a little bit themselves. So I'm coming through here now, and I'm just going to snip a little past about 4 or 5 millimeters, saving all of our scrap, past where the coiling stops. And on this side, I'm going to give myself a full centimeter because it wasn't, the coiling didn't come out as far. And I'm trying to think. I'm going to go ahead and snip the 20 gauge kind of bronzy gold color wire equidistant to the cut we just made. And then I'm going to give myself just a little, like a centimeter past the end here on this one. And I'm doing all of my cuts here at the same time. That way they all end up looking roughly the same. It'll help me just kind of be symmetrical. So now I'm going to start making some nice little little coils. Not coils, spirals. Trying to find the best hand location for doing this. So I've twisted that around. Gonna flatten it. Just want to keep everything from being pokey, because you don't want this to get tangled in fabric or hair or anything like that. And then I'm going to come around and twist, deepen that spiral around. So spiral that around, and then I'm going to come through and just do another little spiral going in the opposite direction, just like that. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this part right here yet, so I'm going to leave it be. And I'm going to go and I'm going to do the same style of scroll work over on this side. Just keep kind of twisting that down. I use my fingers to hold it nice and flat. If the wires go off of line with each other, I just get in there with my pliers and tell it what for. I'm going to continue this around like that. And then I'm just going to do a spiral here. Now, some folks have a lot of success with drawing out their design first. And I did try to draw out the design for this one first. And I got about this far. And then I was like, I'll just start doing it. So I had gotten as far as I had planned whenever we started filming here together. But it just... We'll see how it goes. So there's that. Nice and symmetrical. Now we also, let's start incorporating the gemstone beads. And so I'm cutting myself off about 20 inches of this 18 gauge rose gold, and I'm debating here if I should do this golden bronze as the core wire, or if I should use the silver as the core wire, and if I use the gold, then I'll use the silver for wrapping. If I use the silver, then I'll use the gold for wrapping. I think I'm going to use the silver and then use the gold for wrapping. So again, about 20 inches of the 18 gauge. And now I'm using a 26 gauge gold parawire. I'm pulling off a full arm span. Now this is gold toned, but it is copper core, which helps keep the price down from using actual, gold. But with the enameling process that they use, it's really high quality stuff. I highly recommend it. I found the center of my about 5 feet of 26 gauge wire, And I'm going to just start wrapping in the center of my silver. I'm off camera for a sec, but that's because this is great big. Okay. So here you can see I have 5 or 6 rotations of the gold coiled around the silver. And now I'm going to find also the center of this copper wire, and I'm going to wrap twice around it like that, and then I'm going to come through again, just making it up as I go, hooking around just the copper. I'm going to get a nice still frame here, if you can see, rotating around the top. And now from here, I am actually going to take I'm just going to rotate twice, because I'm realizing where I plan on adding this in, I don't need to add beads yet because it's still going to be hidden behind what's going on. And then I wrap around twice. Then I'm going to wrap around my silver twice. 1, 2. And then I'm going to wrap around both of them. And you could really do any kind of repetition or pattern here that you might like. Just like that. I'm going to do that again. So around just the silver twice. So I was doing around the copper. I should have done around the copper that time. But I think this will be just fine. Letting it evolve as it happens. 1, 2. The key here though is just to be sure to do this same variation on the other side, which I think will be just fine. So my camera had died. Well, my phone did, and that's what I use as a camera. So I had to put the battery on to charge, but I think this is where we left off. This is our center, and so I'm building off to one side. And this is actually going to be positioned kind of right behind our main crystal, or right in front of. I think I'm going to do right behind. I really don't want to break up that beautiful marquee shape and that faceting. So I want to have enough that, if that's the center, that I'll be able to kind of wrap around. So let's see how this goes. If it's going to be wrapping around, then I think I need like almost a full inch of design here. So I'm going to continue doing what we were doing. Oh, for y'all it was like, I mean, just like a couple seconds ago, but for me it's like I went out and cleaned out the chicken coop and played with I think we're gonna name her Mila. M-I-L-A. Mila. It's like because Randy, I thought, had called her Otis, and one of his favorite movies was Milo and Otis. Whenever he was a kid, and probably, I bet if I put it on, he'd go sit and watch it. But, and, well, he's like, well, Otis is a boy's name. And I was like, so? And he's like, her name's not Otis. And I was like, okay. And then, so, and then I was thinking, well, what about Milo? And I was like, well, that sounds kind of masculine, so I'll change it to Mila. So I think now she's going to be Mila. And I think it suits her. But I was sitting doing some yoga on a mat out in the yard and playing with Mila. And then started to run out of daylight and was like, oh no, I better go finish up making this circlet. Okay, so this will be my last rotation. I'm also thoroughly enjoying another cup of coffee. It's pretty nice outside today, but if you sit around for too long, it's just chilly enough that you start to feel it. So now we're right back at that point where I have the wire coming in between the silver and the copper. Hey camera, why don't you focus on, there you go. And I'm going to have it come up and thread through a 3mm amber and through a 4mm jet. And those travel down the wire. And now you can see the wires coming from on top. So I'm going to wrap and have it go underneath this copper wire. Just once, I think, is all we'll really need. And then twice around both. Twice around the silver. Twice around both. Twice around the silver. And I want there to be 3 repetitions of the double wrap. So this is my 3rd repetition. So then I'm going to come up from in between the copper and the silver, and I'm actually going to do a full rotation here. I want it a little bit more stabilized, I think. This still looks pretty do we want to do an irregular amber? Just kind of, I mean, that's really pretty. I'm just a sucker for gemstones anyhow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this on, and actually it's coming up from in between the wires, so I have it coming back down in between the wires. And I've never done this before, but experimentation is the spice of life, so I'm going to go with it. And then I'm going to wrap around both. Ouch, oops. Did not mean to knock the camera. Ah, y'all, I think I like this. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and then do around both. Keep it nice and tight with my fingernails. Doing 2 around just the silver, and then this is my 3rd rotation, 3rd set of double rotations, just like that. So I'm going to have it come up between the copper and the silver. Oh, that's just lovely. Oh, I think that might be a thing now, you guys. I'm sure it's probably already been done like a million times by a million other people, but this is very new to me as an artist right this minute. And I think I really like that. So now I'm going to do a rotation. And I think this is the pattern I'm going to repeat along the whole length of this on both sides. So there's an amber, a jet, and an amber. Then do a rotation around just the copper to get it nice and stabilized. And now I'm going to go off camera for a bit, but I'm just going to repeat this same 3 offset, 1 in line, 3 offset, 1 in line. Probably to a total of, I have no idea. Genuinely have no idea. And let's see too before I get all, I mean, because this is very exciting, but I want to make sure that it actually looks nice on the whole circlet. I think that'll look quite lovely. Just kind of circled and chasing around. So I think I'm going to do, where there's a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll do that on the other side, and then we'll come back over here. So I'll see y'all in a minute. So here I have both sides done. And I'm going to be layering it over this piece somehow. I have kind of yet to figure that out. But so you can see I've kind of offset it a bit here in the middle. That way it'll come and nestle down like that. And I'm really glad that I did this part here in the centers, because that way I can know that that's where it centers up behind the marquee stone. And I'm just crossing behind right there, and then coming back up, and then I'm going to fold this. That way it's nice and wrapped. So it crosses right behind there. So on this side, it'll cross right there. I'm going to try to keep it as nice and symmetrical as I can. So bring that up and fold it around. I'm pretty pleased with how that looks so far, you guys. Getting a little bit more bend to this. I don't want the stone to be poking out funny. And now from here, I'm going to fold this up on both sides. And using my thumbnail to put a nice gradual arch into the rose gold piece of each side. And then I'm going to bring this down. Do I want it on the front or the back? I think on the front. And then I'm going to fold it up like this. And then I'm going to do that same thing to the other side, coming in between. If I'm between these two beads here, then I want to be in between these two beads here. Trying to match the distance between the wire and the base on both sides to keep it as nice and symmetrical as I can. You can see, even though I'm crossing on this side of the bead, the wire exits on the other side. It's just the little details like that that you want to make sure that you keep in order. So I'm going to bring it back down. And then from here, I can see they're very clearly not the same length. So I'm going to find my wire snips. Eyeball it off to roughly the same length. Save our scrap. Off to the side. And then from here, again using my fingernail to put a nice arch in it. And I'm going to bring this down to right there. Skipping to the other side of the bead. And folding up and around. Getting that nice curve going in the wire. Bringing it down Just like that. Bringing it up and around. Okay. So now I think I'm going to bring the copper up to the back side again. You'll see this one, the way it's laying side by side, and then this one it's crossing over. I just want to push that wire over so that it's laying in the correct place. Make sure our wires are roughly the same length. I think that's looking pretty cool so far, you guys. I think I'm going to just bring it back. To right there. And then fold up. And then down. I've got just that little tail there. So let me see if I can't accomplish this on the same side, like in the same way on the other side. It's right there. Yeah? Yeah. And then push it up from behind and then down. Sorry if my fingers are getting in the way. That looks pretty symmetrical. Oh, that's so pretty though. Kind of jelly of this lady's new circlet. So now with these little tails that are there, I'm gonna actually just come through and make a nice little spiral curl. I want the loop on it to be closed, that way it's less likely to snag skin, hair, or clothing. Just a nice little closed loop. Now with these guys here, this one's just a little longer than that one, still, so I'm going to trim down, save the scrap wire. Is it? I don't know. I'm going to measure because eyeballing is not working for me right now. This one's 45 millimeters past the point of contact, and this one is about 5 millimeters too long, so I'm going to trim that back. There we go. Now if the ruler doesn't lie, if it says they're the same length, they're the same length, regardless of what optical illusion might be going on. And I want them angled inwards, that way it'll give me a nice range of motion. In on this, I want to do a very loose, organic spiral. Just come rest right there. Oops. Sorry, I don't mean to be making loud noises with my banging my pliers around. And just a little tighter. And there we go. Now I'm actually going to open this up just a bit and hook it through from behind on this wire. So that can happen. Because I think that makes it look a lot more open and airy and just fey and fun. Just like that. And that's a really nice balance, I think, of the amber and jet. And so now with these ones on the ends, I'm going to double check and make sure that I do have the same length. 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters, okay. And I'm going to have the spiral come down, whereas this one's curling up, I'm going to have the other come down. And I'm just going to finish that up with my fingers. And I'm going to do the other side. Just like that. And you can kind of shape it around, because nobody's head is, you know, flat all the way around. It's the nature of our skulls to be kind of curved. So there we are. I am going to go take pictures of this and send it to the client, like send the pictures to the client to make sure that she likes it. I surely hope that she does, because it was my last crystal. So, but, and then I'll come back and let you all know. Hey guys, good news, she absolutely loves it. So, just to give you an idea. Sorry, I think it looks better without glasses on, but just a nice little circlet, just like that. There's also always the option of wearing them a little farther back. It's like a kind of crowny tiara. She'd like it tied with ribbon. I personally really like the option to tie with ribbon, just because the nature of chain, it really gets tangled up in your hair pretty easily. Also, it's not as adjustable depending on what chain you're using, but it's like, it doesn't really grip without tangling, so you have to do it like pretty tight, and that's not always very pleasant. So I just have some nice satin ribbon, and I'm going to give her a very generous amount, because you can always trim it back. So I'm doing an arm span per side, because folded over on itself, you know, it's just that much. I cut my ribbon at an angle, like that, because it's less likely to fray, I have found. So then here we have this. We have the middles of both of our ribbon, and what I'm going to do is actually take both of my ends. I'm going to come up here so that you can see, and I'm just going to feed one end through on this side and the other end through on this side. That way it pulls through. Just like that. And that way it'll hold on. And I'm going to pull it out just a little way, enough to loop those ends through. This is called a lark's head knot. At least that's what I call it. That's the term I became familiar with. And that'll hold it pretty securely, and if she ever decides she wants to swap out for a different ribbon color or go through later and add chain on, those would be the points to attach. So again, I'm going to do the other side. And this one you can see I entered through the front, so I'm going to enter through the front on this side as well. Consistency is key. Some folks would think that it's not that important, but it's these finishing touches that really make, you know, a piece what it is. It's that final presentation. So, just pulling through. Trying to not dip the ribbon in my coffee. I didn't. Don't. I said that and already looked over at me like, don't you dip that ribbon in that coffee. And so from there, you could just tie it on. You could braid it into your hair, just however you like. So I really hope she enjoys her new circlet. I know I really enjoyed making it. It's always a joy to work with this client. So if you're watching, hey, but I'm so happy. I'm gonna get. I ran out of daylight today, but I'm gonna get some really nice pictures of it tomorrow, and so excited. I'm gonna ship it tomorrow too, but I'm kind of sad to see it go. I mean, I just made it, but it's not mine. It's for somebody else. But it was so much fun to make, though. Like. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a comment down below and let me know. Click that little thumbs up button. Please share it with your friends if you're like, hey, you should watch this. It's pretty cool. Because that'd be awesome. Also, if you'd like to support everything that I do here, both in the workshop as well as out in the garden, and participate in my fairy house giveaway, which at the time of recording, this is the fairy house that we're going to be giving away, and that's if you check out the link to Patreon right down there. Brain fart. If you check out the link to Patreon down in the comments area, you can go and pledge even just $1, and that'll put your name in the hat to win a sculpted fairy house. And once we hit our first milestone, our first goal listed there on Patreon, I'm going to start doing 2 giveaways a month, so that actually doubles your chances. Maybe. I'm not good at statistics or math. Like, that sounds right, though. Let's go with that. But it does definitely at least increase your odds of winning something. So the more people we have contributing, the more winners we're going to have. But yeah, thanks you guys so much for watching. I'm really enjoying my new setup. If you guys, like... What do you guys think? I finally got the hang of it. Like you can see over here, I have a vase that my very good friend Laura gave me that whenever the camera is clipped onto this yardstick, it rests on it. And then on the other side, it's just jammed there in the drawer. I'm so high tech. But again, thank you guys for watching. It's y'all's support in comments and views, and just, I know whenever I get these, you know, comments and people who are like, this tutorial really helped me figure this out, like, I'm like, yes. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see y'all around.